Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm JP Tong, and welcome to today's episode of Detox Your Mind. We're always experiencing many things in our lives, and there's certain experiences that have a very big impact on us, be it good or be it negative. So today I'll be talking about trauma. What exactly is trauma, and how and be able to identify what causes trauma, and at the same time how we can take steps to overcome it. All right, and I will also share with you to prevent ourselves from experiencing trauma and then reacting, how would I say, having some post-traumatic reaction after that event. Okay, so how we can actually lessen those effects, because as you and I know, you never know what's going to happen later on. So that's why it's always better to train ourselves so that we are equipped to be able to handle certain negative experiences. Okay, so what is trauma? So trauma, as some of you may know, it's about experiencing an event or something that causes you to feel very helpless, and in certain cases you feel that you're not safe. Okay, so your safety is threatened. That is one type of trauma. All right, and another type would be not as extreme, but little bite size of experiences whereby you experience, for example, issues like racism, where you hear remarks, where it racist remarks that are very subtle, but you know that they are racist in nature, and you hear and you grow up hearing these kind of remarks all the time, and it has certain impact in your mind, or even remarks about your weight, about how you look, about that the neighbors are always better, smarter, they have nicer hair, taller, skinnier, whatever it is that you keep hearing, and it comes in different doses. So it is, and when you grow up listening to these kind of messages that are being drilled into your mind very subtly, over time it has a traumatic effect in your mind. All right, so that's something to be aware of, because most people always think that, having a traumatic experience, it's something that is very severe or very extreme, and then that's it. No, there are actually more than that. All right, and even there are certain traumatic experience where you may have, where you don't even realize it, perhaps even after a surgery, or after you break up, from a relationship, or you had a very disappointing experience, that you would not even realize that it would have a traumatic experience on you. So that's why when we practice mindfulness, we are able to catch ourselves when it does happen. All right. So, what are the traumatic experiences what are other types of traumatic experiences that may occur to us? It will be, let's say, when your parents get a divorce. Okay, when your parents get a divorce, to many children, it is a traumatic experience, and there are a lot of times they may not be able to process it, and that is actually what happens. Anything that happens to us, and we're not able to process it and make sense of it, and find a balance out of it, it can end up as a traumatic experience. So it will vary from person to person. So what is traumatic to me may not have or may not be traumatic to another person, although it may be a same or similar situation. but the way I react will be different from the way another person may react next to me. So again, we cannot judge when we talk to people who actually go through those experiences. All right. So uh, examples of traumatic experiences would be like serious illnesses. So perhaps when you were younger, you had certain illnesses, or very serious illness, and you survived it, and it kind of stayed in your mind, okay, all this while. Or if you were abused verbally, physically, or sexually, okay, any type of violence that you experience, and also if you were constantly neglected when you were a child, these over time can become traumatic. Why is it that we always like to talk about, what happened during our childhood? Is because when we are a child, we do not have the capacity to be able to make sense of our experiences. So a lot of times as adults, we may not even realize that our child is actually experiencing trauma. We may not realize because we as adults may be able to handle it, but for many children, they have no point of reference. They've never learned about processing what they perceive and what they experience. And that's why as adults it's very important for us to understand that, so that we become mindful, and we'll be able to identify with the children who who will show certain symptoms, which I'll explain later, and you'll be able to assist them and guide them to make sense, to process what they have experienced. All right, and that is very important, because otherwise they will grow up having these experiences which they have never quite resolved, and it will carry on to the adult life. It will carry on. And I'll quote you an example, a personal example of mine. um, in my family, my dad is the disciplinarian, and he was very, very strict with all of us, especially with me, because I guess because I'm the eldest son, and I've always been very fearful of him, because when because there'll be spanking and caning and all that, which was common in the culture that I'm from. So, but that had a traumatic experience with me as I grow older, because I noticed this. I noticed that as I grew older, I was not very, I had this, how would I say this? I was not comfortable with very aggressive kind of confrontation. And if given a choice, I would just not handle it, not deal with it. I would just walk away, because I realized this, that it triggers a raw nerve in me. And what is that raw nerve? It is about the disciplinary action that was taken by my dad upon me when I was very naughty as a child, and I didn't listen, and that stuck with me. And that's why every time when there's some sort of an aggression, when I see aggression from other people, I have to really focus on addressing the situation at hand. Because otherwise, if I let that situation trigger that raw nerve in me that reminds me of those traumatic experiences that I grew up in, then I would definitely either freeze or I'll just walk away. Okay, so I can definitely relate to that. So that is my trauma. So I'm not blaming my dad for it. I'm just saying that's how I reacted, because I was not an easy child to be disciplined. So I had a lot of spanking when I was growing up. All right. So just to share with you all my experiences with trauma. All right. Do we have any questions so far? Let's see who's here this evening. Hi, Cochran. Hi, Agnes. Hi, Lily. Nancy. Hi, Audrey. Hi, Jessie. So fun. Julie. Hi, Jeannie. King Hoy. Yiman, Kirsten, hello. Thank you very much for tuning in, and for the rest of you, thank you very much. So, moving along. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to write in the comment section, and I will answer your questions the best I can. All right. So, what are the symptoms? Okay. So I've explained to you what are the the certain examples of how trauma can be created. Okay, some are instant, some are more severe, some are more subtle, and that is over many years without even realizing it. So what are the symptoms, the symptoms of psychological trauma? Um, well, first of all, you will notice that you're either in shock or denial. Okay, sometimes you will feel there's a lot of fear in you. Sometimes you will feel numb, because why? Because it is a way for you to protect your feelings. When you keep pushing or suppressing your emotions because you're scared, because you are sad, whatever it is that you're trying to suppress, and all the years of suppressing these emotions because of the trauma that you're going through, after a while you become numb. And how does that feel? You don't feel much. All right. So when you're supposed to be happy, yeah, you are happy, but not full of joy. And when you are sad, it's very difficult for you to cry. And yeah, you feel sad, but not as sad as what you think you should be feeling. So it's like you're in the middle. It's like you're in the middle way somehow, but you know that your feelings for some reason are just not they're just not very happy, nor are you very sad, and you've become quite cold. All right, so that happens. I was like that as well, because of the years of being disciplined. I had to suppress my feelings a lot of times, and I became numb without even realizing it. I thought that I was just becoming strong. I'll just become stronger, and I thought that was the norm. So nobody told me that feeling numb was that there was something called feeling numb. I didn't even realize that. Okay, so yes, so you can feel numb, and of course you feel sad, or sometimes you feel hopeless, and for some certain people, you prefer to be antisocial. You rather stay home and not socialize with anyone. You're just not in the mood, and you rather just be by yourself, or with your your family or your loved ones whom you feel safe. Okay, so these are some of the emotional symptoms of somebody who has gone through trauma. All right, just some examples. All right, and what are the physical symptoms? You can have, let's say, muscle tension. You can have difficulty breathing. You can have difficulty, let's say, focusing. Some people have insomnia. All right. So if you suffer from insomnia, again, these are physical symptoms of traumatic experiences that you have not resolved. Okay, I'm not saying all insomnia or all aches and pains is is because of trauma. I'm just letting you know that when you have gone through trauma, it can, or it may manifest into these physical symptoms. All right. And also, it can also manifest in you being very tired all the time, very tired all the time. So again, we have to be very mindful of our mind and of our body, because these are signs that something's up, that something is up. Okay, something is not resolved. So how do we heal from trauma? How do we heal? Well, one of the things that I like to recommend, I always recommend, is if you feel if you feel or if you are experiencing any of these symptoms and you know already that it is because of something that's happened in the past and you just cannot help it, all right, and you cannot help it, what I always suggest for people to do is this, adopt a healthier lifestyle. And what does that mean? All right, what does that mean? It means to actually adopt a certain routine that will make your body and your mind healthier. All right, and what does that mean? It can be going for a walk. Okay, if you're not into exercising, a nice walk around your neighborhood or a park would be nice. You can do running, you can do swimming, if you like to dance, you can do dancing, whatever it is to help you exercise. All right, you can do cycling, which is very popular nowadays. What else? If your place is big enough, you can play some badminton or basketball. All right, something to make you sweat, because why? Every time when you do some sort of cardio exercise, the endorphins will be released and you feel good after that, and you feel good. All right, so that actually helps you handle whatever traumatic symptoms it is that you are going through right now. Okay, there's a question. What is that? Hi JP, how to differentiate feeling numb and becoming stronger? Okay, when you are stronger, Jesse, it means that you are able to handle challenges in your life and you still feel up and down. All right, you feel sad, you feel the stress, you feel the happiness, but you're able to overcome it. Okay, but your feelings are all intact. When you stop feeling anything and you know you're supposed to feel sad or happy and you're not really feeling it, then that's where you know you are numb. Being stronger doesn't mean you don't feel. Being stronger means you feel everything that a normal person is supposed to feel, and whatever challenges that you are facing right now, you are able to overcome them. That's called being stronger. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Okay, do we have any more questions? It's a bit noisy here because it's just started to rain. But let me know if you cannot hear me clearly. All right. So apart from exercising on a daily routine or every other day, another exercise that you can do is chill. The chill time that I always say. Right? What is chill time? Again, for those of you who are new to this program, it is just sitting down, relax, and focus on just one thing. It can be your breath. It can be over a cup of tea or coffee, or if you have something in front of you like a candle or a picture, anything that you like to focus on. Just take 5-10 minutes every day to focus on something. When you do that, when you train to focus on something or just one specific thing, your mind starts to relax. Okay, it's very therapeutic. Some people even like to do gardening. All right, because why? Well, they find it very therapeutic, because what are you focusing on? You're focusing on planting. You're focusing on conditioning the soil. You're focusing on potting your plants. Whatever it is, you're focusing. Some people like to cook because they focus on cooking and it's very therapeutic. Some people like to iron their clothes or wash the car or sweep the floor. They find it very therapeutic. So why? Again, it's mainly because you are focusing on something. All right, and when we do that mindfulness, this is the mindfulness practice that we do, which I call the chill time. When you chill for every day for 5-10 minutes, you will notice that no matter what challenges you are facing on a daily basis, at least you give your mind a break. You give your mind a break, and when you give your mind a break and you relax your mind, you will feel more grounded. Okay? You can increase the duration of your chill time from 5 minutes a day to, let's say, a month later or a week later to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25, half an hour. You keep adding. Because why? Because what you do is you keep stretching yourself by just calming yourself for a longer time. Just think about it. After a very stressful day at work or at home, tending to your family, sometimes you just want to spend time by yourself and not do anything and just chill. So the longer you chill, it's better for your brain. It's better for your brain. Okay, and it's not just about watching TV and so on and so forth. It's about really not doing anything apart from focusing on something. So, like I say, if you're struggling from just uh, watching your breath, focusing on your breath, then you focus on drinking your tea. Okay, you drink your tea slowly and you focus on the process of drinking the tea, how the tea goes into your mouth, how it's in your how as it passes through different parts of your tongue, you will actually taste. You have a different taste actually if you're mindful about it, and then after that you drink it in. So the entire process is very therapeutic, and that actually does help. You see, because when we practice this on a daily basis, what it actually does is you're indirectly training yourself to focus, to control your mind, to control your mind. Okay, so you control your mind to focus, and that is why it's very very important. Mindfulness training is very important for you to calm yourself and also for future traumatic experiences. Future traumatic experiences. When you have any challenges in life or you go through anything that's traumatic or anything that is negative and you find it very difficult to process it because at that time it may be life threatening to you or it's something that caught you off guard and you don't know how to handle it. um, so what happens is, because if you have a good control of your mind, you control on breathing and calming yourself no matter what happens. You calm yourself, then once you calm yourself, you find it so much easier to calm your mind and ground it. And then you address that traumatic situation when your mind is calm. Now, wouldn't that be a lot better? Otherwise, because of that traumatic experience that you're going through or any negative experience, okay? If you have not learned to control your mind, you will have an emotional haywire. Okay, your emotions will be in the way, you'll be panicking, you'll be sweating, you'll be very jittery and you don't know what to do. Your heart will be palpitating really fast and you're totally out of control. Right? So think about it. What are, have you gone through certain situations like that? And no matter how you try to calm yourself, it took you a while to calm yourself. So these are signs. These are signs to yourself that you lack control of your mind. You lack control. So everything, all these emotions just come out. And not only do they come out, you actually feed it. You feed it and you panic even more because of that. Okay? When we do mindfulness training, we do not suppress the emotions. Although they come out, although they arise, you will have you will be able to control your mind and say, okay, let the emotions arise, but let me focus on my breath so that I can ground my mind and just let the emotions pass. And I shall not feed it and analyze my emotions right now. Just let it arise and let it pass. Let me just ground myself. Or let me run and get out of this unsafe situation. Okay, so whatever it is that you need to do, you'll be able to instead of focusing on panicking or whatever emotions that you're going through, do what is best for you. Okay, So I always stress chill time, and it's so beneficial. After a while, you will notice that you will be able to do this. Okay, that's why practice makes perfect. And as I always say, take baby steps. Do it now, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, so that when the situation, when a certain situation arises and you need to have control of your mind, you are ready. You are ready. All right, does that sound good? Okay. And whatever exercise that, okay, so let's go back to that. So you can do exercise and you do your mindfulness training. Okay. And if you are going through the post-traumatic um, situation whereby you feel you don't want to, you do not want to socialize with anyone, you don't want to talk to people, you just want to be by yourself, and it's been going on for year after year after year after year, or for some people for months. Okay, it is always best to actually ignore that part of you where you don't want to meet people and spend time with people whom you know have the maturity and the wisdom to support you. Okay? And if you do not want to talk about what happened, you just tell them, I don't want to talk about it, but just spend some quality time with people whom you know are are supportive in that sense. Okay, so it's very, very important to have good friends whom you can trust, who have the wisdom to help you, to help you move on from that situation, and to heal from that situation, to heal from the situation. So if you are easily influenced by your friends, then the more so you should surround your friends with people who love themselves the right way, okay? Uh, who will adopt a healthier lifestyle, so that why? So that you will be influenced by them and you adopt a healthier lifestyle as well. Okay? So every person's different people have different mindsets. So I'm not here to judge. If that is what you know that you need, then create that situation. Create that situation so that you can adopt a healthier lifestyle that will benefit you ultimately. And that is very important. Well, if you have old friends who you can trust, again, reconnect. Okay, because why? When you have gone through a traumatic experience and you stay by yourself and you want to isolate yourself from everyone, your mind will go haywire because you keep replaying that experience again and again and again and again and again. It doesn't serve you because why? You do not have the skill and the knowledge to be able to heal yourself. So by isolating yourself and you tend to keep thinking about it again and again and again, you are not helping yourself. The situation will just become worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and then later on it'll manifest into what? Into self-denial, guilt, depression. Some of you may even go into, drink alcohol to numb the feeling. Some people go into drugs to numb the feeling. Some just totally numb themselves and just feel cold, and you're just alive, and that's it. And you walk through life like a zombie, and I don't think that is something that any one of you would like. Okay. And yeah, so basically, when you socialize, what happens? You are focusing out. So when you focus out and you keep socializing and you keep yourself busy in that sense, okay, you actually focus out. And how does it help? It helps you not to keep focusing on your experience of what happened, and you keep feeding that negative feeling of yours. Okay, which people tend to keep focusing because it's lack of training. Simple as that, lack of training. Okay, and well, another way of meeting new people is you volunteer. Well, I'm not talking about right now, but after the COVID pandemic, you can actually volunteer in a charity, volunteer to whatever charity it is that you like, volunteer so that you get your mind off of yourself, of yourself, and focus on other people who are in need. Is that so? You channel your energy to something that's more positive. Okay. Do we have any questions so far? Okay, so when you feel, and the last thing is this, when you feel down, when you feel that for whatever reason, certain situations trigger a raw nerve, and the raw nerve is a result of certain traumatic experiences from the past. All right? Always acknowledge it. Always acknowledge and be okay with it. Because sometimes we may catch ourselves by surprise and go, oh, wait a minute. I thought I'm over it. Why is it that this situation triggered this unpleasant feeling that I'm going through? I thought I'm over it. So how many times have we actually asked ourselves that, and then you catch yourself, oh, and then you get confused because you don't know what else to do, right? So number one is acknowledge it, be okay with your experience, be okay with your experience, okay? And then what you do is this. Then what you do is you do the mindfulness training, or spend time to do the chill time every day. When you have a better control of your mind, then when you listen to this program, and you read any self-help books, you will have that mental capacity, you will have that control of the mind to be able to dissect and make sense of what happened in the past, whatever traumatic experience that has happened to you. And the new knowledge, which is your antidote to heal, you will be able to put the antidote into that wound of yours more effectively. Because why? Because by that time you will have a much better grasp of your mind. You will have a much better control, and you will be able to do that without triggering your emotions, and then you get overwhelmed by your emotions once again. And that's where people always shy away from, because you're scared that you're not able to handle the emotions. You don't know how to handle it, and you don't feel good because you do not know how to handle it, right? So I hope that makes sense, and I understand how many people would shun away from addressing their past, which is very hurtful. But you see, if you do not address all these things, especially trauma, as I'm talking about trauma today, if we do not address it, it will stay in our system, and it will cloud our judgment right now and in the future, and it will definitely affect us. And when it affects us, how does it affect us? Exactly what I said. Okay, situations will trigger, and you're just out of control. That's why it's very, very important. Okay, we have another question. Yes, from Freon. What if the trauma that a person feels is supported by the person surrounding family members because they know the experiences the person went through? How can this person walk out from this situation where the surrounding person keep remind him or her on the trauma? So if I understand you correctly, Freon, so you're saying that the traumatic experience, so that you've gone through the trauma, and your family members keep reminding you of the trauma, and you don't know how to handle it. Okay, so if that is your question, then I would say, well, politely ask your family members to stop reminding you because you do not know how to handle it right now. And share with them how you feel every time when you're reminded of the trauma. Okay? And if that doesn't help, every time when they remind you of the trauma, then you can just walk away. Just walk away. Okay? Walk away and just say, I'm sorry, I cannot deal with this right now. I need to walk away. All right? You can always treat others with kindness and treat yourself with kindness and respect as well. All right. And that is why it is very, very important to be able to do that. And for some people, because the traumatic experience was so severe that they couldn't even handle it. Even right now, they don't even know how to resolve it, and they suppress it so much that they even forgot. Okay, there's like a mental block. They literally block that whole situation, and they don't even remember what happened. But there are certain feelings that can be triggered because of that. Okay, so that is more extreme. All right, so for extreme cases, if you know that you are having this post-traumatic situation, and no matter what you do, you do not know how to handle it yourself, then I would suggest that you get therapy. Okay, get therapy from somebody who is equipped, who has that experience and is certified to be able to counsel you, and that is very, very important to counsel you. All right. That is if you. So that's why listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. If it is okay to get help, to seek for professional help, that's everybody. Okay, should be comfortable with that. I'm not saying that you are mentally off and all that. This is called mental health. Just like our physical, our physical body, the health of our body. Okay, it is important to heal both the body and the mind. Okay, because for whatever reason, people have this stigma that just because you go for counseling or for therapy, that means that you are off. That's a stigma. And that is something that we have to educate everyone that no, the therapist or the counselor just explains to you in a way that you know how to resolve whatever it is that you need to be resolved, so that you feel happier, you feel lighter, and you have the skill to be able to overcome similar situations in the future. And that's how you live your fullest potential and live your best life. That's how you do it. And if people judge because you go and see a therapist, or because you see a counselor, or because you watch this program on detoxing your mind, it's because they don't know. It's because of their ignorance. So we know. So we do what is best for ourselves. What is best for me may not be the same for another person. So we're not here to judge. Whatever serves you, do it. Do it for yourself. Okay? I hope you have a much better understanding of what trauma is. And like I said, it doesn't have to be something that's very severe. It can be constant. Okay, certain negative experiences that you go through that are very small, but it's constantly there. That can also lead to this kind of a post-traumatic situation. All right. So before we end today's program, I would like to acknowledge and thank our sponsors. The first sponsor is Lam Cochran and Family. Dedication, Mrs. Eminence captured 10 Rinpoche returned to KFR swiftly to turn the Dharma wheel again. Second sponsor is Julie Koo. Dedication, wish everyone in the class health and safety. Third sponsor, Anonymous. Dedication, dedicated towards all beings' liberation from suffering and attainment of compassion, wisdom, and true happiness. And the last sponsor for today is Anonymous as well. Dedication, may all sentient beings have happiness and be free from suffering. So thank you very much for sponsoring our program, because with your sponsorship, we are able to sustain our online program for every one of you. All right, so if you find this program beneficial, please give a contribution. All right, so thank you very much. And for those of you who are joining me after this 9:45, we have a workshop where I will walk you through. I'll walk you through a meditation on trauma, which is what I've spoken about, and answer further questions that you may have. All right. So if you are interested in this workshop, by all means, please email to our admin, bemindful@kechara.com, which is in the comment section, and you'll be given the Google Meet link, whereby it's a closed workshop where I will talk to you personally and I will guide you on applying what I have just explained to yourself. Okay, on that note, I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.